Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the discussion session. We also will pop up the Miss Corvesier and Apostolaki in the discussion that they're participating online. So the purpose of this panel is to discuss about how we can reach the cost restore targets, and how far we are in terms of these targets here in Greece. And today we have different local experts with us from different point of views, so we can see how we can breach this gap. So what we will do, we'll go around the table and digitally to introduce the panelists. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and the point of view that you're looking today's discussion.
So, thank you, Alex. At first, I would like to thank you for inviting me to be part of this great event and great panel. My name is Yannis Daskalakis. I'm the co-founder and managing partner of Daskalakis Group, a firm that operates in 3 different sectors: in construction, in valuation, and in real estate agency. My main focus as professional is in real estate and real estate valuation. So this is my point of view today, and I'm looking forward for our conversation.
Okay.
Okay, me next. So I'm Angeliki Stathopoulou. I am a civil engineer and a certified passive house designer. I have a company named Net Zero, which deals with design and construction of net zero buildings using the passive house standard as a baseline. I'm also an ILFI ambassador and collaborative of Greece with Alex. So I'm here today because I would like to discuss more on things that involve residential buildings and how we can make them better. So my point of view will come through that.
Hello, my name is Yannis Daskalakis. I'm a civil engineer and the real estate director of XYZ, and a certified valuer by Tegova, the European group of valuers. And I'm happy to be here today and help and bridge the gap between the valuation profession and regenerative design.
Okay. And online we have Mrs. Apostolaki that I can actually see from the monitor.
Yes, hello from me. My name is Stella Apostolaki. I'm an environmental scientist and I'm a professor at the Environmental Studies program at the American College of Greece, the host of this event for today. First, I would like to thank you for having your event in our premises. We are very happy to host you, to host this event and to host any research developments and progress and the related information. A few more words about myself. I'm the coordinator of the Environmental Studies program at the American College of Greece, and I'm also chair of the Academic Advisory Board of the Center of Excellence for Sustainability that we have at AECG. My research interests are on environmental protection, conservation, on water management. This is my main specialization: water management and climate change and protection, conservation of biodiversity. I come from a rather multidisciplinary background, and this is what I like and I appreciate a lot in the concept of sustainability. The reason that I am with you here today is to bring the element of education, of higher education, and how students can be trained for the real world, and how building energy efficiency can be materialized by the youths, which are the constructors, the producers, the developers of the future.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Alice Corvesier.
Good afternoon again. So I'm Alice Corvesier. I'm the managing director of INSEB. As mentioned in my previous presentation, a social enterprise focusing on social and technical aspects on how to minimize energy. I'm not an engineer, but I'm monitoring very closely the last 10 years the developments of energy efficiency from the perspective of communication, advocacy, and lobbying. On behalf of INSEB, I am the national contact point for the Renovate Europe campaign, the European Alliance to Save Energy, and the Coalition for Energy Savings, 3 organizations based in Brussels, working very hard on increasing the rates of renovation in buildings, while my personal interests are in the social aspects of energy. The last 4 years, my research, let's say, focuses on energy poverty and the levels of energy poverty in Greece. I have co-authored 3 policy recommendations about mitigating this phenomenon in our country, while we have already started some collaborations about mitigating energy poverty also in the Middle East and some other countries. While the next domain of interest is how to be more democratic in terms of energy. So we have developed a platform which is called the Energy Democracy Dialogues, and the aim is to make citizens more active and to have an increased number of prosumers, meaning to have citizens that not only consume, but they can produce their own energy. I'm very happy to be here today. The topic of this forum, this conference, is among our interests, and I'm very happy to share my views, but more than happy to listen all the other speakers because, yeah, the content was excellent. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much. So I'm also happy to be among you guys and have a fruitful discussion that we can have representatives from real estate, designers, institution, and the academia. So the plan for this discussion is for me to be the moderator and introduce the topic of the question as it is outlined in each working group of the Cost Restore research. And then there will be a question which I think would be relevant to each of you. And then you will have the time to respond and provide your insights. So if anybody from the participants have any questions, feel free to send it on the chat box, and then I will pick it up and trying to include it in the discussion, in the conversation. So I'll start with the first question. It relates to working group 1. It's about sustainability, restorative to regenerative design, living buildings. And it is the following. The rapid urbanization resulting from accelerated industrial development and population growth contributed to the development of buildings that interact little with the environment or their occupants. According to statistics, in general, people spend from 70 to 90% of their lifetime inside buildings. Regenerative and restorative buildings not only produce all of their own energy, capture and treat all water resources, but they are also designed and operated to have a net positive impact on the environment, including repairing surrounding ecosystems. So what I would like to ask our real estate experts, and I will start with Yannis, is what do you believe is the quality of the building stock currently in Greece? And if the existing building stock, actually how the existing building stock it addresses the needs of the modern generation in terms of housing, offices, and commercial demands?
Yeah, thank you for this question. At first, I would like to say that regarding my point of view, my personal and professional point of view, the building stock in Greece, the vast majority of the building stock in Greece, is both economically and physically obsolete. The main reasons for that are two. At first, we have had a 10-year around 10-year recession in Greece, posing all the new developments and investment in real estate. At the second hand, we have had both globally and in our country, huge changes in the way that we work, we live, and we cooperate, and we talk to each other, including technological changes, the expansion of social media use, the things regarding the health and safety in our buildings, and all the other things that are our day-to-day life. So as such, what we can say is that the last 10 years, we have no new support in buildings and huge changes in what we demand from our lives and our buildings. So this is how it is creating a gap between the demand of new and oldest generation for how we use the buildings, no matter if we are saying about our homes or our offices, and what the current support is. So this kind of support, this kind of lack of support could be, and the lack of, and the great gap between grade A spaces and grade B and others could create different attractions about, if they are related to values, they could attract investment, and then the new investment could create new support. But at this point of time, we have lack of new support. We have lack of spaces that are reflecting our needs in buildings, and we should do something for that, I think.
So in summary, we have a very old building stock that needs to be renovated and addressed, but we don't have the support either privately or publicly to do so.
Yes, we have a lack of support, as you said, and we have discussed, and we have to find the key drivers that and the demand will, the support will follow.
Thank you very much for that. And a very relevant question to that is, what are the incentives for investors, if there are any, and if we have accessible programs or funds to do that? And I've heard the presentation from Alice Corvesier in terms of funding and programs that can help revive the building stock or the construction industry in general. So what are these incentives, and how accessible are they to investors and individuals?
Yeah, there are incentives, and actually the main incentive is that if we want to be part of all the main actually objective that the European Union has, to be the first carbon neutral continent of this world. So we need all to be engaged. So about the investors, since the investors are there for investing, and they have also interest in investing in buildings, they need definitely to monitor closely what is happening in all this reform era that is happening in the European Union, that is reflecting also to the member states. And as you saw in my presentation, I presented 2 of many initiatives that the European Union is funding. And the second one, the AAA, is about securing investors, how the investors can be more confident and how they can invest in more transparent and attractive projects that will be a win-win situation for all, from the building part, I mean the owners or the companies that own the buildings, and from the investors that they want to see their investments to be successful. So there are tools that are developed. One of them is the AAA. The other one is the ICP, the Investor Confidence Project. There are specific protocols for investments on energy efficiency in industry, in buildings, residential and commercial buildings. And at the other, the important thing is that investors who are a primary target group need to be engaged in initiatives like the Sustainable Energy Investment Forums or the SMAFIN project, that is the continuation of the SMAFIN project. And these projects are not working only in Greece. All around Europe, every day there are happening so many things, so many dialogue round tables. So their views are needed they are going to be useful. Otherwise, the policy recommendations and the proposals to the authorities will not have their views. So the active engagement of all, and especially the investor, is crucial so as to have successful policy design and implementation.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. So moving on to the next question. It's about working group number 3 of cost restore action, about regenerative construction and operation, particularly construction. An approach to the construction that seeks to be regenerative. In general, regenerative sustainability is poorly implemented in Europe. Material technologies and tools capable of improving the well-being of the society are not commonly implemented, mainly because of the lack of knowledge, training, and higher costs. And the question is the following. What is the level of awareness and knowledge among construction factors of different possible regenerative materials, tools, and technologies? And second part, it can also be seen that in Southern Europe, the sustainability certification, it is believed that increases the building costs and is not acceptable by the investor, or that such certification is not required by national legislation. How do you see that a certification for a building such as LBC, Core, LEED, BREEAM, Passive House, and others could be beneficial to investors? And I think the best person to talk about this is Angeliki.
Thank you, Alex. So I will say that in general, the same idea applies also in Greece. People tend to consider that either an energy efficient house or a building in general, moreover, an environmental friendly building is much more expensive. So I will say that in the first case, when we go for energy efficiency, we have the tools and we have the standards and we have the way to go with international standards, because I give you a note that the Greek building regulations, the energy regulations are being revised right now. So we expect them by June this year. In order to be able to use this regulation in order to achieve NZEB buildings. So we are waiting to see what the standards exactly will be. On the other hand, in order to have experience and of course awareness, we need examples. So the examples we have in Greece are not the majority, of course. So through them, people and contractors and actors of construction have gained all the expertise. Working on passive house design, especially for energy efficiency, I can say it's the first thing I'm being asked, how much more will it cost? But first of all, it's not how much more it will cost, which is not in every case much. Sometimes it's even cheaper according to the case, but people must understand that it's an investment what they make, and it's money that they might have to add on to the initial account, but it's money that will pay back very, very soon. So if I take a step on and go to environmental friendly standards, I would say the same. The government has understood that, and through the last building regulation, gave a motivation, but gave it for non-residential buildings. So buildings non-residential that have excellent energy efficiency, and together with that, they have an environmental certification that is LEED Gold or BREEAM Silver or DGNM up to now, or something that is equivalent. They get a 10% increase on the building footprint area allowance. So in the first case, we can say, yes, this is a motivation. Personally, I believe that motivation is needed and must be given. I would say that investors look at money and not to have extra costs. So in any case, I believe that more motivation should be given. it should turn out to, let's say, economical motivation, either with tax refunds or investment loans and things, many things that can be done. And I strongly believe that if we manage to have some excellent examples with such projects, then the rest will follow. You know, it's very important to have monitored projects that will actually clarify that the money is coming back. I can understand it's not for everyone in the beginning. Obviously, I wouldn't say that it's easy in the center of Athens to start grey water analysis, okay, but we can accept that. We can see what we can do in these cases. In any case, we have all the islands that in any case do these constructions. They have water systems, they do this in any case. So I think that it's not very far away. We just need a motivation and people to be trained and to know what they can actually do.
We also need to understand that all these the certification tools and processes that we have in place, we shouldn't follow them blindly. We need to understand where we're building, where the requirements need to be, what the requirements need to be. And for example, as you mentioned, for example, you wouldn't apply, let's say, easily a grey water strategy in the center of Athens, but in the Greek islands, that potable water quality is far less compared to one we have in Athens or other major cities. It could be useful to
yes, of course, and keep in mind that water in Greece is a cheap product. Right? It's not something expensive, so it's not something that will it will not be the first thing that then anyone will understand. I think the whole the holistic thing is what we have to do, approach.
Okay. Just to reiterate again that because we had a few more participants joining in the middle of the discussion, that we're talking about how we can bridge the gap between the Greek reality and the restore targets. If you have any questions while our guests are expressing their, sharing their experiences and their insights, please put in the chat box and you can be part of the discussion. So the next question, and I think it will be again with Angeliki, it's about rethinking technologies. So it has 3 parts and is closely linked to the presentation we had with Wilmer Pasut. So how do products face to the developed indoor environmental quality indicators, and which are the metrics to measure contribution of your technologies to regenerative indoor environment? Would you like me to
say them all together?
Sell them all together? Okay. The second question is, what are the current market trends in building industry field that you think that can contribute to the regenerative indoor environment? And what are the approaches to enhance the building design, considering the interaction between products for a regenerative indoor environment? And the reason we're addressing this question to you is because indoor environmental quality is closely linked to air tightness and passive house design and all these principles. So fire away.
So it's true that one of the 5 basic, let's say, characteristics and points of passive house is another one is mechanical heat recovery ventilation systems. So the 2 in combination obviously give us a very, very good indoor air quality for living and working. We spend most of our lives in buildings, so it is very important to have good indoor quality, and not only in our houses, it's in our offices, it's in the schools that our kids attend, so everywhere. The best measure, we have tools to measure, of course, it's something that can be measured because the quality of the air depends on several parameters that can be measured. We can measure the CO2, we can measure humidity, we can measure temperature to also assure thermal comfort everywhere. For me, I will say that the best measurement is the happy user, and it is something that comes up with every passive house or every building that we deliver. And in something that really matters to all, that they have this. You know, it's important to have good air quality, and basically you do nothing about it. It's done by alone. So in the market, the last years, we have many resellers. So it's easy to find systems in order to achieve this. And the prices are normal, you know, when you have competition, and that you find. The last one, the approaches to enhance. Okay, so the only thing I can say is you have to visit a place that has this and feel the difference. It came up a lot lately, and due to COVID, what happens in school. So we saw children having to go to school, attend to school with open windows in the winter, which was not very nice environment. But we should think really how we can work with this and give everybody the chance to have a good quality inside the working place and living place. And we have experts, we have people that know how to do the work, we have the tools, we have everything. Just to note that in our regulations, once again, it is obliged or allowed to have ventilation in non-residential buildings, but we have a preservation, so it's not obligatory to have in our buildings. We are waiting for this update because actually, I know it sounds a bit crazy, but entering into giving data that you have such a system in your house actually increases the energy consumption, and you finally end up with a building that has a worse category than what it should. So it doesn't really understand how all this works. So this doesn't help us a lot to explain to people that look how much you gain. So in order to do that, of course, we need other tools that understand about ventilation in total, and we go by that.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Any other comments you would like to add on this, or should I move on to the next question? I will move on to the next question. So the next one is on working group 3, regenerative construction and operation, procurement and PQQ, which sounds for pre-qualifying questionnaire. So procurement is the process of purchasing goods and services. There are many different routes by which the design and construction of a building can be procured. A 2012 RIBA survey suggested that the procurement route commonly used is a traditional contract, and SMEs, which are, as we previously seen the presentation about the LBC presentation later this day, 98% of the industry in Greece is represented by small to medium-sized enterprises. These are responsible for the majority of the building output and the construction activity in the country, and hence the ones more responsible in tackling the challenges we are currently facing. So Yannis, from your experience, how services are procured in Greece and how these are affecting the project deliverables, how early in the process a contractor should be involved, and how often SMEs, professionals requesting a PQQ or having a contract suite documents in place for conducting business. And lastly, what are your recommendations to procure contracts that could include parameters such as circular economy and sustainability principles?
So, Alex, let me focus my answer on the majority of the construction projects that are currently running in Greece, which are, as you said, the SMEs project, that are not a 7-story building, office building label with sustainability label, etc. There are small projects mainly focused on family homes or small developments of small-scale development companies. And so, as far as I have seen in the market, there is not serious procurement phase in order to give your offer for the construction. So we should not talk for, as you said, traditional contract or building and design contract or something like that, but you should talk about, is there any procurement phase? And the fact is that the most construction contracts that I have seen are implementing from the designing phase of the building permit, and the costs, the estimated costs are from there. So the developer comes in later stages, the contractor comes in later stages, if even comes, and this has an effect to the final construction costs, which are inefficient, not transparent, and lead to a lot of disputes between the contractor and the client and the developer. So this is what I have seen personally, that there is no really a procurement phase in Greece. On the other hand, what you said and you asked about how to include circular economy and sustainability principles in the procurement phase. What I have to say that I am not an expert on that theme, but what I have to, my point of view is that if you want something and you think that is needed in the market for one or another reason, you can develop national strategies and, if not laws, that can guide or enforce the involvement of these factors in design and construction phase. So we can solve it like that.
Okay, brilliant. So we've seen the real estate point of view. How would you be able to see it from a sustainability, let's say, representative, the same topic?
I totally agree, because this is the situation exactly as described for typical buildings, basically. So things change when we go to regenerative design, because there everything matters. We don't end up with the basic drawings that you need to submit to the authorities. Obviously, we have detailed drawings everywhere. We have a certification ahead of us, so we have specific targets. We have specifications for everything involved, materials, sequence of works, time of works, everything. So exactly because there is no traditional contract, it has to do with individuals. So everyone that is involved in such type of construction does it by its own, you know. Obviously, you do need specific contracts, and you need a great involvement with the contractors in order to train them, in order to explain what they have to do. On-site measurings do not allow mistakes. So both our involvement and our training is needed. So I think that it's time for some things to change, because we are in any case heading towards that. So in case of I truly believe that it has to be something national. We have chambers that can help out with that, institutes and authorities that can line up, yes, and produce all that. Because I think that as time passes and we go into more environmental friendly and regenerative design, it's definitely needed.
I would agree. It's one of the topics that I think is kind of worrying, because as we're talking about regenerative building, sustainability, all building systems are becoming more complicated. We were talking about building physics, the deliverables are changing. And then if we don't have a standardized procurement to share information and control, let's say, or manage the work packages, it would be difficult to produce that output. The next question is for Mrs. Apostolaki, and is on the same topic. How are you preparing, how the students are prepared to be commercially versed with these realities when they graduate, and what mechanisms are in place to help them improve what they will actually meet when they go to the industry, when they're exposed to the industry, and what kind of tools you're providing them with?
Yes. First, I would like to start by saying that education, and especially higher education, has changed in the latest years. So nowadays, The emphasis is placed a lot on practical skills and soft skills students are obtaining. Of course, there is a lot of specialized information and expertise that the students are obtaining relating to their area of expertise, relating to their studies and their educational background. At ACG, we do not have studies on civil engineering, so we do not have students who are taught the principles of construction and design. However, we have a framework of internships. We have a lot of internships offered for our students within a very broad range of disciplines and organizations, from companies, construction companies, consultancies, NGOs, big organizations. So on one hand, students get the practical experience, get some practical experience. They get experience on what is really happening and what is really required in the market. There is a lot of emphasis on green jobs lately, on green careers, and we try to promote this a lot at ACG, green entrepreneurship. So the new entrepreneurs go towards green choices. So one of the choices they have in mind and they know quite well is how to incorporate sustainable processes in the companies that they may own or in the companies where they might work in the future. As you correctly said, most of our industry in Greece is based on SMEs. So a lot of our students will be people who are starting SMEs. There is a lot of support for startups, and especially in Greece and Europe, as we all know, there is a lot of support for startups that they activate on climate mitigation, climate change mitigation and adaptation. Our students are getting and receiving all this knowledge through multidisciplinary approaches that we are following, especially the students of the environmental studies program and other students as well. But our students are receiving a lot of knowledge and they're working a lot on energy efficiency. It is one of the topics that they get familiar with a lot. We have some green roofs in our campus, which are used as living labs, if we can call them like that. There is students are exposed and they know the concept of circular economy and how to apply circular economy. And through several courses and initiatives, they are also introduced to standardization. So the concepts that they are related to construction and design are there. However, as I said, we don't have a purely engineering program at ACG. But I believe students of ACG and students in Greece in general nowadays receive a lot of practical skills. They develop a lot of their practical and soft skills that they are required for a regenerative approach.
All right, thank you very much for this. So before we continue with Alice Corvesier and the next question, I think we're going to go to a quick break. And then we will have a question on energy poverty that I'm really looking forward to hear your insights, Alice.